A very good evening to all of you. Once again, my thanks to Tattvaloka, in particular to Mrs. Sharla Panchapakeshan and to Sri Rohit Vishwanath, and also to Shreya for the technical assistance. Thank you very much, Siddharth, for giving us your support and for being the musician of this evening and the two evenings prior to this and the one to come as well. So without further ado, let me start screen sharing and we'll go to the temples directly. So the Krishna temple that we are going to be seeing this evening, the first one is the Parthasarathi Swami temple in Triplicane, Chennai. But I'm not going to use this word Triplicane. It's an anglicized form of a lovely word called Tiruvallikeeni. Now Tiruvallikeeni. So when there's a word as nice as this, why use a corrupted form called Triplicane? Why are we doing this? Let's get back to our roots. So this is Tiru, sacred, Alli, lily, Keni, tank or pond. So the town of the sacred lily pond. Isn't that poetic? Isn't that beautiful? Why shouldn't we use this? So let's do that in the course of this lecture. So right here in the heart of Chennai, in Tiruvallikeni, stands tall this temple for Partha Sarathi, the charioteer of Partha Arjuna. And what a temple this is. One of the rarest, one of the most unique, one of the most ancient, one of the most splendid temples in our country. So let's first get to the Sthala Puranam, which is the traditional episode story connected with this temple. I will not use the word mythology. It does not fit into the context of Indian temples at all. So according to the Sthala Puranam, a king named Srimathi prayed to Lord Tiruvenkatanath of Tirumala and gave him darshan as the Sarathi of Partha. Hence the name Venkata Krishna for this deity, to which I will come a little later. The god asked him to go to Brindharanya, where he would give him darshan. Meanwhile, Atreya Maharishi requested his teacher, his Acharya Vedavyasa, to find a place fit for him to do tapas. He was also advised to go to Brindharanya on the banks of Kairavini, where King Srimathi was doing tapas. Vedavyasa gave Atreya Rishi an image of Parthasarathi. When Atreya Rishi reached the ashram of Srimathi in Brindharanya, he gave him the details of how he came there, and that's how this image came to be in this kshetra, which is now called Tiruvallikeni, and this temple is next to Kairavini, which is the temple tank. Now, there are several things about this temple which are unique. And one among them is that the name Parthasarathi is given to the Utsava Murti or the processional image and not to the main deity. Generally, in Tamil Nadu, as far as Vishnu temples are concerned, the main deity has a different name and the Utsava Murti has another name. The most famous of the Vishnu temples of Tamil Nadu is the one on the island of Srirangam. The Moola Vigraham is Ranganatha, the Utsava Murti is Namperumal or Azhagiya Manavalan. Same is the case with many temples. Here also, the main image is Venkata Krishna, the name that I mentioned just now in connection with the Sthala Puranam. The Utsava Murti is Parthasarathi, and that's the Murti you're looking at now. Parthasarathi is a charioteer of Arjuna, Partha, but here he is seen with four hands, Shankha, Chakra, Abhaya Hasta, and he holds a stick in his hand. And he is flanked by, to his right, Sri Devi Lakshmi, to his right, Bhudevi or Bhuma Devi. This is Parthasarathi Swami. Again, according to the Sthala Puranam, according to the tradition of this temple, the face of Parthasarathi Swami bears the marks of the arrows which the Kauravas sent against Arjuna And since Krishna did not carry a weapon on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, his face was pierced by all these arrows. That's him, Parthasarathi, flanked by the Nachimar, and this is him in all his glory, being carried in procession, etc. So now we come to the main image, who is Venkata Krishna. This is Venkata Krishnan, and here he has only two hands. The left hand is in Bharatahasta, or the boon-giving posture, and the right hand carries the Shankha. There is no chakra over here. He did not carry a weapon on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And who should be next to Parthasarathi? Rukmini, of course. So this is Goddess Rukmini over here. Now, the very special thing about the sanctum, I'm sure most of the audience knows this, but those who don't, there in this sanctum, generally we see only Parthasarathi Swami and Rukmini, but there are 4 other deities inside, enshrined. Now, to Rukmini's right, or actually a little to the back, is Sankarshana, Balarama. You can see the plow in his hand, Krishna's brother, elder brother. And then to Venkata Krishnan's left, you have Pradyumna, his son, Aniruddha, his grandson, and Satyaki, who belonged to the Yadavas, a distant kinsman who worked on the side, who worked for the Pandavas on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So these people are together called the Panchaviras, the 5 brave men. They are all inside the main sanctum, along with Rukmini, who stands next to Parthasarathi. Now, incidentally, this kind of group images are very rare to see in temples, but they are there in some other temples, not exactly like this. Let me read this out to you. The Panchavira concept is seen in another place called Nachiyar Kovil, which is near Kumbakonam, and the Srinivasa Perumal temple. Here, other than the images of Srinivasa Perumal and the Tayar, goddess Vanjulavalli, who are there in the main sanctum, you also have images of Balarama, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Shamba, who was another son of Krishna. In the place of Satyaki, you have Shamba over there. So in Nachiyar Kovil, there is no separate shrine for the goddess Taya. She is there with the god inside the main sanctum. You also have some kind of concept like this in several other places. One other thing I want to mention is that in a village called Mora, which is about 7 miles to the west of Mathura, which region is very closely connected with the life of Krishna, a damaged inscription has been noticed, and it has lipi, letters of the 1st century AD, and it mentions the images of the holy Panchaviras of the Vrishnis. ... the damaged portion, and then it says the stone shrine. So perhaps there was a temple for the Panchaviras over there also, could have been. Now in a place called Tiruthangal near Shivaganga, we are back in Tamil Nadu, in the temple of Veeranarayana, the pride of place is for Veeranarayana, that god. But altogether there are 11 deities inside the main sanctum over here. You see Markandeya, Garuda, Vishwakarma, Sri Devi, Bhudevi, Aruna, Jambavati, Usha, Aniruddha, and Bhrigu Maharishi. There are these many places, people inside the main sanctum of the Tiruthangal temple. And so we are back in the Parthasarathi Swami temple. Venkata Krishna, Rukmini, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Satyaki. These many are there. You see Sri Venkata Krishna Swami, very rare to see a deity with a mustache like this, and that mustache is made of Pachakalpuram. I'll come to the details of that a little later. Now, why is the Parthasarathi Swami temple so unique? First of all, it is, come to modern times, it's the only Divya Desham in the city limits of Chennai. This side you have Tirunelmalai, you have other temples close to Chennai, Divya Deshams, which means Vishnu temples sung about by the Alvars, but strictly within the city limits of Chennai, there is only one Divyadesham, and that is for Parthasarathi Swami. So the temple takes its name after the Utsava Murti, I'm repeating, and the Moolavar is Venkata Krishna. Now that is not so unique, but it is unique in a way. What other factors make this temple very unique and very interesting is that it's a twin temple, meaning there are two main deities over here. First is, of course, Venkata Krishna, Parthasarathi. The other one, and he faces east. The sanctum for Parthasarathi faces east. In front is a tall Dvajastambham or the flag post, and in front of that is a very tall, majestic Gopuram. They're all on the east side. Now the back, the other side, not back, the other side facing west is called the Tulasinga Perumal Koil Street. And here again, you have one tall Dvajastambham and you have a Gopuram, which leads straight to the sanctum of Narasimha, who is enshrined over there. Both these deities are main deities. Both these deities have Dvajastambhams, both these deities have Gopurams, both these deities have the annual festival called the Brahmotsava. I'll come to the details of the Brahmotsavam a little later. So there are two deities, one facing east and one facing west. In fact, many will say that the shrine of Lord Narasimha is the more ancient one in this temple. However, the name of the temple today, the official name, is for Parthasarathi, the Utsavamurti. So this is the Gopuram of the Narasimha Swami Sannadhi with the Dvajastambham in the picture also at the back. These photos were taken a few years back. Many images of Narasimha on this Gopuram. I'll come to that very soon. Just showing you the old photographs. Now I'll come to the newer ones. Now this is how the Gopuram looks today. We'll see how many different images of Narasimha are there. As soon as you enter it, you'll see the tall Dvajastambham on this side. Look at the many Narasimhas that you see over here. You have Yoga Narasimha. Then on the left, you have Sthanaka Narasimha standing. Here you have him fighting with Hiranyakashipu. Here you have him coming out of the pillar to the extreme right. These many Narasimhas are there on this Gopuram, and some more interesting sculptures also, which I will come to. Here in a row, you have Narasimha in Asana. There is one Narasimha on Garuda. I'll show you a better picture after a few slides. And then a standing Narasimha blessing his devotee Prahlada, for whom he took this incarnation. So if we look closely, we'll also see this sculpture. You see a Vishnu reclining over here. Near the head of Adisesha, you're seeing a Varaha Murti. And over here, near his feet, you see a Narasimha. Why this is important is because, and I'll come to this immediately, in this temple, other than the sanctum for Parthasarathi Swami and other than the sanctum for Yoga Narasimha, you have three other deities. One is Rama, one is Gajendra Varada, and another is Ranganatha. Now, in the Ranganatha sanctum, near the head of Ranganatha, you have a Varaha Murti, and near his feet, you have a Narasimha, and that is exactly what they have portrayed as a stucco as in Sodai, like lime plaster, on the Gopuram of the Narasimha Swami Sannadhi. So here is Varaha and here is Narasimha. So those who have not gone inside the temple and have not seen Ranganatha along with Varaha and Narasimha can see them in this slide over here. Now the Gajendra Varada Sannadhi is very unique, very important, because the deity is seated on Garuda inside the main sanctum itself. Now that is not usually seen. Now so this is a picture which has the Gopuram of Narasimha Swami on this side with a tall Dvajastambham, and you can see the main Gopuram of Parthasarathi Swami there also, and many Vimanams inside this Sandari. So this temple has been sung about by Peyalvar. Peyalvar was born in Mylapore. Then we have Thirumizhisai Alvar belonging to Thirumizhisai, not too far from Chennai, near Pundamalli, and by Thirumangai Alvar, who visited ever so many Sannadhis. So three Alvars I visited this temple. And the very interesting thing is that they have sung about all the gods who are enshrined in this temple. That's the very interesting aspect. So we are looking at the Gopuram of Narasimha now. We'll quickly go to the main Gopuram. This is the picture that I wanted to show you. Narasimha on Garuda. Garuda Ruda Narasimha is very, very rare to see. This is not a stone sculpture. This is a stucco sculpture high up there on the Gopuram of the Narasimha Swami Sannidhi. So if you go and stand on that Tulasinga Perumal street and start looking at all these sculptures, we'll know how many different things there are over here. Okay. Now on this same street, I'll miss it out if I don't talk about it now, is the house where Bharatiyar lived in Tiruvallikeeni. So this is Bharatiyar's house, very, very close to the West Gopuram of the Narasimha Swami Sannidhi. Anyway, now we are going to the East Gopuram, which is the Gopuram, which is the entrance that is often used by people. And this is again an old photograph taken a few years ago when the Gopuram was painted in one color. Now it is multi-hued like this. So this is much taller than the one on the west side for Narasimha. And this too is filled with many, many stucco sculptures of various Puranic incidents. Now this is how one enters the Mandapa. The Gopuram is to the left, and then we walk into the temple premises. Now there are many, so this is Ravana and Hanuman over here. I'll pass through these slides a little quickly. So next time one visits this temple, one can notice all these sculptures high up there on the Gopuram, very visible to the eye. We don't even need a zoom camera for this. Varaha is there, the topmost part of the temple. These are all many sculptures. Permit me to go a little fast. Many of them are to do with the life of Krishna. You have Samudra Mantana. Many, many episodes are there. So we will now try to enter the premises of the temple. This is a 4-pillared stone mantapa right in front of the Mahamantapa. We'll come to that also. The Dwajastambham of Patha Sarathi. Old photograph when there were hardly any people in this area and visiting the temple, unlike now. Very tranquil. This is how it looked. And like this. Now this is that 4-pillared mantapa that I was speaking to you about. And high up there, near the top, this is what you see. 2 stone rings. And the end looks like this, made of one piece of stone, all of this, including the top part. The whole thing is one piece of stone. Certainly a work of art, but in this very crowded area, people generally don't look up and notice all these things. So there you are. There's a snake over here, 1 ring, 2 rings, and then a lotus bud hanging from that. This is how it looks against the sky. If we go to the Vagaraja Perumal temple in Kanchipuram, another great Divyadesham, and if we enter into the premises, on the left is the Nurukal Mantapam, or the 100-pillared hall, also called the Kalyana Mantapam, and here is something in all its glory. There are only 2 rings in that 4-pillared Mantapa of the Parthasarthi Swami temple, and the one in Vagaraja Perumal is far grander and better known. We are back into the Parthasarthi Swami temple. We are entering the Mahamantapa. It is not a very old one at all, but it has been designed like a Vijayanagara Mantapa. I repeat, it's not a Vijayanagara period Mantapa, but the pillars and the sculptures look like one. And on the pillars, you have the different avatars of Vishnu, through which I will go very fast. This is Matsya over here. Another Matsya Avatara of Vishnu. The Vijayanagara rulers, the Vijayanagara architects and the sculptors were very well known for putting the Dashavataras on the pillars, and that has been replicated in this temple at much, much later times. My photographs were taken, these, what I'm showing you, were taken many years ago. So this is the Kurma Avatara. You have Varaha, Narasimha over here, standing, but with Lakshmi on his left. So it's an active worship. That's Narasimha over here. You have the Vamana Trivikrama, the Trivikrama Avatara. Rama, now this is with Rama and Sita over here. Hanuman with his sitting on his coiled tail, giving the good news to Sita, who was very sad in Ashokavana. Over here, Govardhana Giridhari, maybe not the best of best sculptures, but nevertheless well worth viewing. Krishna's Vastrapaharana on the banks of the river Yamuna, along with the gopis. Many Vastrapaharana, many images of Krishna, because this is a Krishna temple. Kalinga Narthana, playing the flute, Venugopala, over here. This is Vishnu riding on Garuda. Garuda Ruda Vishnu. You saw Narasimha on Garuda. Here is a stone sculpture of Vishnu on Garuda. Now this sculpture on one of the pillars of the Parthasarathi Swami temple is of particular importance, because you see Vishnu standing here along with Lakshmi. But why it is so important is because this is a replica of Venkata Krishna, the Moola Murti, the main image inside the Parthasarathi Swami sanctum. Here is Varadahasta, here is the Shankha, and only two hands with Rukmini by his side. They have, in the Vijayanagara times, it was a done thing in many temples for an image, a replica of the main image to be portrayed on a pillar in front of the temple. This is not a Vijayanagara period sculpture, I repeat, much later, but they have followed that tradition. This one also is the same. You have the Shankha on one hand, left hand is Varadahasta, and you have Rukmini by his side. This is a replica of the main image in the temple. Here is Vishnu standing by himself, another one. This is not a beautiful sculpture, but nevertheless of Dhanvantari, the god of medicine, holding the Amrita Kalasha in both his hands. Many more Vishnus over here. This is Tirumangai Alvar holding a shield and a sword. One of the three Alvars who came and sang about the glory of this place. Unfortunately, these things were also there. I don't know whether it's there now. Why do you have a clown? Why do you have jesters? Why do you have birds? Why do you have flowers in a temple? Because all of this is part of the universe, and the temple itself is a mini universe. So I'm just passing through some. This is Gajendra Moksha with the alligator holding the foot of the elephant, and Vishnu giving him moksha over here. All right. So many more sculptures are there, but we are running out of time, and therefore we pass on to some things more important. You have Alile Krishna on the banyan leaf, Rama by himself over here. This is another sculpture. Trivikrama we have seen. Vamana, Vishnu seated in Ardha Padmasana with one leg on the pedestal and one leg on the ground. Namalvar seated under the famous tamarind tree in Alvar Tirunagari near Tirunelveli. Brahma is also over here with a fourth head at the back. Vishnu with Adisesha over his head. Rare sculpture seen on one of the pillars, and Sthanaka Narasimha standing. Ugra Narasimha also killing Hiranyakashipu. All these, this Mantapa has many pillars, and on each face of the pillar there is a sculpture, Varaha as well, and a lady with a bird. All right, so we keep going, and this is the sacred tank of this temple. It's called the Kairavini, and this tank is very important to this temple, because when Ramanujacharya's parents didn't have children, they had a bath in the temple tank, worshipped Parthasarathi over here, Parthasarathi Swami over here, and Ramanujacharya was born to them. So this is the middle of the temple tank, and this is a Nirari Mantapam. And here you have once again many sculptures reminiscent of the Vijayanagara times. One of the nicest, one of the biggest temple tanks in the city of Chennai. And on the banks of this tank, you have a sanctum for Hanuman over there, which is visited by many people. So we are going around this temple tank. Provision for water harvesting has also been made over here. So this is the Anjaneya Sanctum, which is very popular with the people of this area. And this is how the temple once looked. And the temple tank once looked without any barricading and of pristine beauty. We also come to the temple chariot, one of the grandest chariots in the city of Chennai and in Tamil Nadu. We all know that the Ther, the Ratha, is taken out during the Brahmotsavam of this of every temple, and generally temple chariots are made either of teak wood or of a wood called ilupai, because these are the kind of substances that do not decay very easily. They have certain secretions, certain fluids which keep them supple for a long, long time. So here we see some of the lovely sculptures of this temple chariot. This is how the Parthasarathi Swami's temple chariot looks. It's full of carvings. We'll have a look at them one by one. What an effort it must have taken to make this, and what an effort it must take to maintain this. Here you have the Matsya Avatara of Vishnu. Most of the avatars are carved over here. You also have on this temple chariot, as in many, many other rathas in Tamil Nadu, the sculptures in wood of the Ashtadikpalakas, or the guardians of the 8 different directions. Here you have Indra seated on his elephant carrying his weapons. We'll go around this. The prancing horses, again, highly reminiscent of the Vijayanagara times. If you walk into a Vijayanagara Mantapa, you cannot miss seeing a sculpture of a prancing horse like this with a rider on top and some people in front. Now you have the Kurma Avatara, which we saw in stone inside the Mahamantapa. These are all parts of the different parts of the temple chariot. The Iruthalai Pakshi, the 2-headed bird, the Gandaperunda. You have a sculpture of a person in a very modern attire. But then that's what sculptures are about. What the sculptors saw around them, they replicated in the form of carvings, be it of stone, be it of wood, be it of whatever other material. This is Vamana with his Chitra, with his umbrella and his Kamandalu. Varaha is over here. This is Vayu, one of the Ashtadikpalas, the god of wind, on his deer Vahana. We have Rama over here as well. Over here, you have Varuna, the guardian of the ocean, rains, etc., on his Vahana, which is the Makara, an aquatic animal. These are all different avatars placed alongside different. This is Ishana, Shiva, on his bull, the Rishabha Vahana over here. This is Anantashayi Vishnu on a 5-hooded Adisesha. Now you have Kubera here, the guardian of the north, on his horse Vahana, the Ashva Vahana, and many, many, many more. Hardly do we have time to see the temple chariot without all its finery and its decorations. And when we do, if we have the time, we should go and see them, because the wood carvings are exemplary, very beautiful carvings on wood. So this is how it is during the Brahmotsavam. People all around, hardly any place to stand, and the Ratha Utsavam in all its glory. And that's how Parthasarathi Swami is seen inside of the temple chariot. You also have many, many other Utsavams. There are so many Utsavams in this temple for so many other deities. I'll give you a small, short list a little later. And this is the Masi Magam, and they go to the sea, which is very, very close to this temple. So these are some of the various Utsavams that we see over here. Not many people are aware that near the Narsimha Sannadhi, there is a marble plaque which has the letter written by Swami Vivekananda to a person called Alasinga Perumal in Tiruvallikeni, written from America on 20th August 1893. And he says here, go now this minute to the temple of Parthasarathi, and before him, who was a friend to the poor and lowly cowherds of Gokula, keeps going on and on and on like this. And this is something that many people miss seeing. In fact, it was brought to my attention by a young resident of Tiruvallikeni, and I'm very grateful to him. Also there in the Parthasarathi Swami temple are very modern paintings. I won't go into the details, but very interesting. Please do notice them. Please do read what is written over here when you go there. It's very readable. These are the different occasions when Krishna assumed the Vishwarupa form. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These many are there. These are when Krishna became that Vishwarupa, and we know of only a couple of occasions when he visited the court of Duryodhana, and then the Vishwarupa on the battlefield of Kurukshetra when he started to explain to Arjuna some great concepts, great philosophy. But there are many other occasions as well, taken from the ancient texts and portrayed in the form of paintings in this temple. In one corner of this temple, very carefully have the temple authorities place the different inscriptions that have been found in this temple. Some are damaged, some are not damaged, but it's worth paying an attention to them. The oldest inscription in this temple, as yet discovered, is an 8th century epigraph in Tamil of Dantivarman Pallava. So we all know that Thirumangai Alvar lived, according to historians, not according to traditionalists, according to historians, Thirumangai Alvar lived in the 8th century AD during the reign of a king called Nandivarman II Pallavamalla, who ruled from Kanchipuram. Nandivarman was a great devotee of Vishnu, so was his son Dantivarman. And Dantivarman's the inscription of the reign of Dantivarman has been found in this temple, and that's the earliest inscription to date. So we know that in the Pallava times, this temple came under the jurisdiction of the Pallava rulers, and obviously it was very famous even at that time. So not only have the temple authorities kept the inscriptions over here, they have also very nicely put up plaques over here giving you the date. So there is an inscription of the Chola times, 12th to 13th centuries AD, mostly in the Tamil script. And then I'll show you some of the others as well, because we generally miss seeing things when we go there. These are inscriptions intact on temple walls. I'll come back to this. There is another one which is dated 1942. It is in Telugu script. I'm not going in a chronological order. Then you have another one of the Chola times of the 12th and 13th centuries AD, when the Chola Empire was as such kind of waning. You have another one of the 19th century in the Telugu script. So many Chola inscriptions, one Pallava inscriptions, and many of a later period as well. Now this one is in the Tamil language. The script is Tamil and Grantha. So you have these many over here. A few more details about the Parthasarathi Swami temple, things that people may not easily know. We have many festivals. There is a Brahmotsavam for Parthasarathi Swami, for Narsimha separately, and Gajendra Varadar separately, each of which is for 10 days. There is a 5-day Utsavam for Ranganatha. Goddess Vedavalli Thayar, Goddess Lakshmi in this temple, is the consort of Lord Ranganatha. Rukmani, Venkata Krishna's consort, is there in the main sanctum itself. Rama, who is one of the other deities enshrined in this temple, has a 9-day Utsava. Ramanujacharya, so closely connected with Tiruvallikeni, has a 10-day Utsava. Manavada Mamunigal, another important Acharya of the Sri Vaishnava faith, has a 10-day Utsava. There are 10-day Utsavams also for Peyalvar and Thirumangai Alvar, each 10-day Utsavams. These are some of the many Utsavams in this temple. Now let's look at some of the rare facts As I told you, all the deities in this temple have been sung about by the Alvars. Then you have the standing, seated, and reclining poses of Vishnu in this temple. Seated, you have Narsimha, you have Varada also, Gajendra Varada. Reclining, you have Ranganatha. Standing, you have Venkata Krishna and Patha Sarathi. Two Dvajastambhams, one on the east for Patha Sarathi, one on the west for Narsimha. All the offerings in this temple are first made to Narsimha and only then to the other deities. The main image of Venkata Krishna I mentioned to you has a big white moustache. Only on the days preceding Vaikuntha Ekadashi in the month of Margazhi, which is mid-December to mid-January, can the deity be seen without his moustache. And on these days, Venkata Krishna is dressed in very simple attire. I have already mentioned that he is weaponless. There is no chakra, only the shankha in his hand. Other important details: the consort of Ranganatha as Vedavalli Tayar, her processions are inside the temple only. She never comes out of the temple premises, but then this is true of many other images of Goddess Lakshmi in many temples of Tamil Nadu, Paditanda Patni. I mentioned, but I'm repeating it now. In the Ranganatha sanctum, there is an image of Varaha near the head of Ranganatha and Narsimha near the feet. Gajendra Varadar, main Murti, is seated on Garuda. That is indeed very, very unique. Other than the Brahmotsavams that I have mentioned to you just now, there are three separate Kalyana Utsavams here. Two for Ranganatha and Vedavalli Tayar, and one for Parthasarathi and Andal. In addition, on the day of Adipuram, Andal is seen with Parthasarathi. The food offerings in this temple are cooked without midahai or chilies. Midagu, pepper and ghee are used. Of utmost importance, the bells in the sanctum of Yoga Narsimha do not have tongues. You can't ring them. Why? Because he is in a yogic state and should not be disturbed. You saw Swami Vivekananda's inscription there, letter that is written as an inscription and kept there by the Ramakrishna Mutt. That is something that most people miss seeing, and please do pay attention to that when you go next time. In the Pashurams of Tirumizhi Alvar and Tirumangai Alvar, this is also very important. The words Mayilai and Tiruvallikeni are used alongside. Ma Mayilai, Mavallikeniyan, Tirumayilai, Tiruvallikeni. Why so? That's because Tirumayilai, Mylapore of today, was a very, very important center in the Pallava times. Very important seaport. In fact, one Pallava king, Nandivarman, had the title Mayilai Kavalan, that he was a protector of Mayilai. That important was it. It was a commercial place. And Peyalvar was also born over there. So whenever Tiruvallikeni is mentioned, it is mentioned alongside Ma Mayilai. And I'm drawing this information from an excellent book written by the great archaeologist, Professor K.V. Raman. In his book, The Early History of the Madras Region, he mentions that Tiruvallikeni could have been a suburb of Mylapore, and that is why the Alvars brought in Mylapore and Tiruvallikeni. The works of the Alvars are soaked in devotion, completely soaked in devotion. But we can also get a lot of history and lots of other pieces of information from the works of the Alvars. I have only very, very briefly touched upon some of the important aspects of the Parthasarathi Swami temple. There is so much more to share, but I will stop sharing on the screen and over to young Siddhartha for some music.
வேதத்தை வேதத்தை வேதத்தின் சுவைப்பயனை வேதத்தை வேதத்தில் சுவைப்பயனை விழுமிய முனிவரர் விழுங்கும் வேதத்தை வேதத்தில் சுவைப்பயனை விழுமிய முனிவரர் விழுங்கோ கோதுயில் கனியை நந்தனார் களிற்றை நந்தனார் களிற்றை குவலையற்றோர் தொழுதையேட்டும் குவலையற்றோர் தொழுதையேட்டும் நந்தனார் களிற்றை குவலையற்றோர் தொழுதையேட்டும் ஆடியை அமுதை ஆடியை அமுதை என்னையாளுடையப்பனை ஆடியை அமுதை என்னையாளுடையப்பனை ஆளுடையப்பனை ஒப்பவரில்லா என்னையாளுடையப்பனை ஒப்பவரில்லா மாதர்கள் வாழும் மாடமாமயிலை மாதர்கள் வாழும் மாடமாமயிலை மாதர்கள் வாழும் மாடமாமயிலை மாடமாமயிலை திருவள்ளிக்கேணி கண்டேனே மாடமாமயிலை திருவள்ளிக்கேணி கண்டேனே திருவள்ளிக்கேணி கண்டேனே திருவள்ளிக்கேணி கண்டேனே
We'll now go to the second temple of this evening. Give me a second, please. Which is the Sri Krishna temple in Guruvayur, one of the most famous temples of this deity in this country. Now, according to the tradition, the Sthala Puranam of this temple, Krishna himself gave the image now in worship in the main sanctum, Garbhagriha, to a devoted disciple named Uddhava and asked him to install it in a proper place. Uddhava entrusted this job to Guru, the preceptor of the gods, and he, along with Vayu, the wind god, searched for a suitable place. Parashurama guided them to an area near a lake full of lotuses, and he consecrated the image there. This is Guruvayur, the Ur, the place, deriving its name from Guru and Vayu. The temple, according to its tradition, was fashioned by Vishwakarma, the celestial architect. It is well known that he is enshrined here as a young boy. The temple's Dvajastambham, 34 meters high. This is the temple per se. I am unfortunately unable to offer you many photographs. Even what I have has been taken from the net, and the reason is because photography is strictly prohibited in this temple, but there is lots of information which I can share with you, and we will be exceeding the time limit a little as far as this lecture is concerned. Please do forgive me for that. The temple is basically of very modest proportions, but great in Kirti, that is fame. And there are many great devotees who were associated with this temple, who are still associated with this temple, but two names will definitely stand out. One is Narayana Bhattatri, whose date is 1559 to 1632, the author of the immortal Narayaniyam, and Pootanam Nambudri, the author of Jnanappa in Malayalam, who were contemporaries. Mangalam and Kuru Ramma, who were cousins, were two other ardent devotees of the deity of Guruvayur. We are still shown the place where Narayana Bhattatri sat and composed this great work of his, which is recited in almost every household. Many renovations have taken, many renovations have taken place in this temple over the centuries, even the 16th, 17th centuries also. Now, while we know about Narayana Bhattatri, we know about so many things. People who have gone to this temple would have also visited the Anekudam, where many elephants who have been donated to this temple are kept. They are part of the temple, but there could be no elephant that is remembered more than Gajarajan Keshavan. What that elephant who gave so much of himself to this temple. I have before me just now a book called Heaven on Earth, The Universe of Kerala's Guruvayur Temple by author Pepita Seth. I can do no better than to read out about Keshavan to you from this book. Please allow me to quote. This is so moving. Anything else about this temple, you can read up anywhere. You can find out in the temple also. But these many details about a devotee, not human, an animal, we say, he wasn't just an animal. So permit me about 10 minutes to tell you about who this Keshavan was and what kind of devotee he was. And if there is a dry eye after that, I don't know. I could never ever read all this without tears in my eyes. So Keshavan was born, I'm quoting from this book of Pepita Seth at beginning to quote now. Keshavan was born in 1913 in central Malabar, and while still young became one of the 12 elephants belonging to Vagaraja of Nilambur. His life was uneventful until 1921, when as a result of the Mopla riots, the Nilambur palace was attacked and the family forced to flee, leaving Keshavan, presumably, and other elephants to fend for themselves in the nearby forests. Yet, as soon as the Nilambur family was safe, they vowed that if their property was spared, they would offer their best elephant to Guruvayur Appan. It was a vow they fulfilled in 1923, when soon after returning home and finding their palace unscathed, they took the 10-year-old Keshavan to Guruvayur. And so the myth wrapping of Keshavan's life began. Firstly, it was observed that though he already showed signs of being a gentle animal, he also appeared to be a very stupid one. To rectify this, it was decided that he should receive a daily dose of sanctified butter from the male Shanti, a treatment which even now is believed to heighten intellect. In conjunction with this treatment, Keshavan had to attend the 3 daily civilis. Whatever a skeptic's expectations of such treatment might be, in Keshavan's case, it produced the desired result. He became an intelligent elephant. Yet, still, Keshavan had his quirks. Once, something so upset him at a festival 80 kilometers from Guruvayur that he simply walked off without further ado, ignoring his Mahoot's commands, and headed for Guruvayur. 2 hours later, as darkness fell, he reached Thrissur, which, though it had much less traffic than it does today, was still a bustling and busy town. But Keshavan was unfazed. He paid no attention to either traffic or people as he strode majestically through the town. Of course, by then, news of his approach had spread, and awed crowds gathered to watch as he single-mindedly rushed towards Guruvayur. The temple sent officials out to meet him, bearing petromax lanterns to light his way home. And around 10 p.m., Keshavan finally stopped outside the temple and bowed his head to his Lord. Only then, having acknowledged his devotion, did he turn to his Mahut and condescend to obey his commands. There are numerous stories about Keshavan, many stressing either his extreme gentleness, he never killed or harmed anyone, or the depths of his devotion to Guruvayur Appa. Now, even during Keshavan, I'm still quoting, even during Keshavan's lifetime, people were openly of the opinion that he was an incarnation of the Lord. He knew the rituals and his roles in them by heart and would only kneel to be mounted from the front by the priest carrying the Lord's Tidambu and other Keshantis had to scramble up from behind. In 1973, after 50 years of faithful and devoted service, the temple honored Guruvayur Keshavan, taking him to the temple in a grand procession before his Lord, awarding him the title Gajaraja, King of Elephants. It was a few years before Keshavan was accorded this honor that it started becoming increasingly obvious that the great giant was not, as his dedicated admirers believed, immortal. The situation came to a head one year on the first day of the temple's annual festival when a race decides which elephant will carry the Lord during the 10 days of ritual and celebration. For years, Keshavan had won the race with ease and carried his Lord with pride and dignity, his towering height impressing all who saw him, until the year in question when he came second. And the authorities, knowing they could not subject him to the indignity of being a mere attendant, had him chained near the temple. But Keshavan considered it his right to carry Guruvayurappan and somehow broke his chains and ran to the temple just as the winner was kneeling for the Tidambu. The authorities were disconcerted, but following a brief discussion, relented and accorded Keshavan his usual honor. The problem returned the following year when again he lost the race, though this time he was chained 35 kilometers from the temple. Once again, he broke his chains and reached the temple on time, and once again the authorities relented and allowed him to carry his Lord. As soon as the festival was over, it was decided to conduct a Deva Prashnam to ascertain the Lord's wishes. Guruvayurappan was unequivocally clear. As long as Keshavan was alive, he wanted to be carried by him. While for the next year or so all went well, just before the start of the 1976 Ekadasi celebrations, it was obvious that the great giant was nearing death. This put the authorities in a difficult situation, a death in the temple being considered both inauspicious and polluting. As a result, it was eventually decided that using Keshavan was too risky. Keshavan, as might be suspected, had other ideas and somehow summoned the necessary strength to break his chains and make his way to the temple. Though the temple was jam-packed with devotees, focusing their entire being on Guruvayurappan, the sight of the great tusker standing motionless in the Gopuram's arch made them move aside, allowing Keshavan to walk slowly where his replacement stood waiting. The authorities, though nervous about what might happen, balanced their concerns against Guruvayurappan's known wishes and hurriedly ordered the substitute to be taken away. Keshavan came forward and with enormous dignity knelt to receive his Lord. Though everyone realized he was obviously under enormous strain, they marveled at the intensity of his devotion as he moved majestically around the temple. Several hours later, however, as he struggled to rise after the Tidambu had been removed, it was impossible to deny his weakened condition. Everyone could see that he was visibly shaking as he left the temple and made his way to the grounds surrounding the ruins of the Zamorin's palace. Here he turned, lay down, dug his right tusk into the ground, considered the ultimate sign of an elephant's humility and devotion, and extended his trunk towards his lord. Then, at the most auspicious time of 3 a.m. on Guruvayur's sacred Ekadashi day, he died, or as it is more poetically and accurately said, was united with his Lord. By the English calendar, the date was 2nd December 1976. So that is about Guruvayur Keshavan, I unquote, and who could have been a greater devotee than this elephant. So that's Guruvayur Keshavan over here near the temple. He was succeeded by Gajaratna Padmanabhan, and Keshavan will forever ever be remembered. Over to Siddhartha.
Hey Murali, hey Murali, Mukunda Smera Vaktraravinda. Hey Murali, Mukunda Smera Vaktraravinda. Shwasana Madhura Sagne Shwasana Madhura Sagne Tvam Pranamya Adhyayache Tvam Pranamya Adhyayache 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 Adharamani Samipam Adharamani Samipam Praptavatya Praptavatya Bhavatya Kadaya Rahasi Karne Kadaya Rahasi Karne Madhashananda Suno Madhashananda Suno Madhashananda Suno Madhashananda Suno Madhashananda Suno
Thank you, Siddhartha. The last temple for this evening is Ranganatha Swami temple in Srirangam. This is a lecture on Krishna temple, so why go to Ranganatha? Because this temple has so much to offer. In this huge campus, there are many shrines for Rama, many shrines for Andal, many shrines for Krishna as well. I'll just read out to you the number of Krishna's shrines, sanctums, samadhis that are there inside the vast premises of the Ranganatha Swami temple. There is one for Vithala Krishna, which is near the Rangavilasa Mantapam, which is the famous Mantapam of the Ranganatha Swami temple. It is near the well-known Ul Andal Sanctum. And here there's an image of Krishna and a few Alvars as well. In the very first prakaram or the enclosure of this temple, near the very well-known Kili Mantapam, there is a small sanctum for Krishna. This is the second one. And the deity here is the Navanitha Murti holding the butter ball in his hand, behind which is an image of Vasudeva Krishna at the rear. In the fourth prakaram, which is called the Akalankan Tiruvidi, there is a sanctum for Partha Sarathi. The deity here, like in Tiruvallikeni, has two hands only. Here, he holds the whip in one, and the second one is in the Upadesha Mudra, because Arjuna is next to him. And that's why he's Parthasarathi over here. Then you also have an image of Ashtabhuja Krishna, which is enshrined in the sanctum for an Alvar called Tondaradipudi Alvar. Here he holds the Shankar, Chakra, the Dhanush, the bow, Bana, arrows, two hands are playing on the flute, various other weapons are also there. And this Krishna stands in Tribhanga. Tribhanga is with three bends in the body. Then in the sanctum for a very great Sri Vaishnava Acharya called Natha Munihal, there is a sanctum for Gopala Krishna. And then there is the very famous Venugopala Swami Sandhati sanctum, which I am showing you in this picture now. Now, what makes this Venugopala Swami Sandhati very different is that the Venugopala, flute playing Krishna, who is enshrined there, is, according to most scholars, historians, datable to the Hoysala period. The Hoysalas were kings who ruled from their capital Dwara Samudra, present-day Halebid, in the South Karnataka area. They, at one point of time, became a very, very powerful dynasty when the Cholas were ruling over here. But the Cholas at that point of time were on the wane. Their power had kind of diminished. The Pandyas in Madurai had also become very strong. The Hoysalas lent support to the Cholas, and at one point of time, not many people know this, they ruled over the Trichy and Srirangam areas. And their contribution to the Srirangam temple is known from many of their inscriptions which are found inside the premises of this temple. And it is believed that this sanctum for Venugopala Swami was constructed in their time. So this is the sanctum. It is small, but with lovely sculptures over here. Unfortunately, most of the sculptures are in a broken and a dilapidated condition because of several invasions that came after this sanctum was built. However, I must also add that there are scholars who do believe that this is not a Hoysala period structure, but of a later times belonging to the dynasty of the Nayaks, who were the governors or the feudatories of the Vijayanagara rulers, and whose substantial contribution to this Ranganatha Swami temple happened in the 16th and 17th centuries AD. However, most scholars do believe that it is a Hoysala contribution. We know of the splendid Hoysala temples in Belur and in Halebid and in Somanathpura. There are scores of other Hoysala temples also in Karnataka. However, most of them are made of soft stone or chloritic schist. Here in Tamil Nadu, there's a prevalence of granite. And this Venugopala Swami Sandhati inside the Srirangam temple's premises is also of granite, as you see over here. Now let's look at some of the sculptures. Though broken, all these are there. This is a lady playing on a musical instrument, broken. These are all very reminiscent of some Hoysala sculptures. Sometimes if you look at it, there are people who say it's Nayak also. I reiterate that. Many sculptures of Krishna. Over here, he is putting his hand into a pot of butter or curd. There's a lady with a parrot, a kili over here. Dancers, there are many dancers and musicians. I'll show them to you. There is a Rama also, as you can see here. Here a dancer, there a dancer. The Vali Sugriva fight is here as well. The Gajendra Moksham episode is also here. Unfortunately, so damaged. You see Kalinga Nartana Krishna, Kurma Avatara, lovely designs. Krishna, a sage, as you can see, many dancers, many musicians. This is Venugopala with Shankha and Chakra over here. Lovely image, damaged. This is how the walls look, fully with sculptures. There is another lady over here, this time standing with a parrot in her hand, resting on her hand. Yet another over here, Darpana Sundari. In the Hoysala temples, especially in Belur, you can see lovely Darpana Sundaris as Madanikas, that is as an angle on top, resting between the ceiling and a pillar. The temples of the Hoysalas are known for their Madanikas, and here is a lady drawing a tilakam on her forehead with the help of a mirror, the Darpana. Yet another musician, but unfortunately very badly damaged. This is a horse-faced person holding a musical instrument. This is Tumburu. We often club Narada and Tumburu together. They are the divine musicians. Here we are, many musicians, many dancers. So these are all parts of the Venugopala Swami Sannidhi and many stucco sculptures on top also. You have Yoga Narsimha as well, many animals, many birds, and this is the very large mantapa in front through which you have to walk in order to reach the Venugopala Swami sanctum. There is a tumburu on one of the pillars of this mantapa as well. Venugopala is a musician, tumburu is also a musician, as also Narada. And as we are about to enter the Venugopala Swami sanctum, you have a small little sculpture of Krishna like this. The sanctum, well worth visiting, not only on account of its historicity, but because of the beautiful image of Krishna enshrined in the Garbhagriha, the main sanctum, and also even though the sculptures on the outside are damaged, and my photographs do no justice to them whatsoever, they are definitely worth seeing in person. So that brings us to the end of this lecture and over to the musician.
கிங்கிணி நாதம் காதில் ஒலிக்குதே கண்களில் கண்ணனை காணேனே கிங்கிணி நாதம் காதில் ஒலிக்குதே கண்களில் கண்ணனை காணேனே கிங்கிணி நாதம் காதிலொலிக்குதே கண்களில் கண்ணனை காணேனே கிங்கிணி நாதம் காதிலொலிக்குதே கண்களில் கண்ணனை காணேனே கிங்கிணி நாதம் காதிலொலிக்குதே கண்களில் கண்ணனை காணேனே கிங்கிணி நாதம் காதில் ஒலிக்குதே கண்களில் கண்ணனை காணேனே மங்கையர் மனமது மயங்கியை வாடுது மங்கையர் மனமது மயங்கியை வாடுது மங்கையர் மனமது மயங்கியை வாடுது மங்கையர் மனமது மயங்கியை வாடுதே செங்கமலர் கண்ணன் தரிசனம் தேடுதே செங்கமலர் கண்ணன் தரிசனம் தேடுதே செங்கமலர் கண்ணன் தரிசனம் தேடுதே செங்கமலர் கண்ணன் தரிசனம் தேடுதே கிங்கிணி நாதம் காதிலொலிக்குதே கண்களில் கண்ணனை காணேனே கிங்கிணி நாதம் காதில் ஒலிக்குதே கண்களில் கண்ணனை காணேனே வானுலவும் மது மகிழதரேகவே வானுலவும் மது மகிழதரேகவே வனவிலங்குகளும் மனமுருகாவே இனிமயம் குயில்களில் இசைகள் பெருகவே இனிமயம் குயில்களில் இசைகள் பெருகவே முனிவர் மனம் பரமானந்தம் வருகவே முனிவர் மனம் பரமானந்தம் வருகவே முனிவர் மனோபரமானந்தம் பருகவே முனிவர் மனம் பரமானந்தம் பருகவே கிங்கிணி நாதம் காதிலொலிக்குதே கண்களில் கண்ணனை காணேனே கிங்கிணி நாதம் காதில் ஒலிக்குதே கண்களில் கண்ணனை காணேனே
Sorry, you didn't hear me. Thank you very much, Siddhartha. Thank you, Tattvaloka. And thanks to all of you who have listened to this program. Thanks very much.